A lot of people will say, Tank is too small. Let me tell you something. Anybody that gets in the ring with Tank that is not a damn dinosaur is going to feel something from it. And it ain't going to be easy to hit him. Got boxing IQ. He may not sound like an intellectual guy when you hear him talk, but he knows the ring inside and out.
In Florida, man looks absolutely amazing. Man looks like a monster. Man looks like precision. Jake Paul cannot take those body shots.
Oh, Tank's going to kill him. Tank's going to kill him because he won't be able to touch Tank. And then...
Okay. It's kind of like the Tyson thing again, though, right? Like when
it reminded me of that, but it also reminded me of like, oh, in barbershops across the world, people, or at least the country, people will talk about this and be like, oh, Tank's going to kill him because he will not get...
The boxing community is buzzing with shock and excitement as Gervonta Tank Davis unveils what many call the best form of his career ahead of his blockbuster showdown with Jake Paul. New training footage shows Davis unleashing rapid, thunderous combinations on the heavy bag, each shot landing with precision and ferocity. His speed, discipline, and explosive rhythm have left fans and experts amazed, proving just how intensely focused he is. Every jab, every pivot, every exhale radiates control and intent. Observers agree this version of Tank looks sharper, leaner, and more ruthless than ever, signaling that he's not showing up to participate. He's showing up to conquer. Analysts believe Davis holds a major edge but warn that victory will depend on strategy. They insist he must rely on timing, movement, and ring IQ rather than chase an early stoppage. Tank's genius lies in patience, in reading his foe, setting traps, and striking when the opening appears. Experts predict that if Davis stays composed and commands the distance, Jake Paul will struggle to keep up with his speed and precision. Though famed for his knockouts, Tank's deadliest weapon may be his defensive mastery and counterpunch timing, an edge no fighter at Jake's. Level can survive when he fights smart. Many analysts predict that Jake Paul is about to face a harsh dose of reality once he shares the ring with Gervonta Davis. They argue that Tank's experience, quickness, and ring IQ exist on another tier entirely. While Jake has fought dangerous names before, none have possessed Tank's reflexes, accuracy, or ability to punish every mistake. Observers suggest that once Davis lands clean, the difference in true punching power will become painfully clear. They describe Jake's defense as still basic and inconsistent, while Davis's years of pro refinement allow him to read and react almost instantly. For that reason, a knockout seems inevitable, not because Jake lacks courage, but because Tank's precision and speed create pressure few can handle.
Speed and, his ability make up for that size difference, in your honest opinion?
Well, he has to be very smart throughout the course of the fight. It's hard to know in some things. I think Gervonta's just gonna stick and move. He'll be fast, play it smart, I don't see him staying still for too long so Jake can land some shots. He'll just try to touch him. Who knows, man? It's an exhibition. It's a money grab. Jake's fighting one of the best.
Critics argue that Jake Paul's natural size advantage can't be ignored, while others insist that Davis's technical excellence will erase that difference completely. Some fans have even questioned whether the fight should have been approved given the visible gap in mass. Yet Davis supporters remind everyone that boxing isn't about who's bigger, it's about who's smarter. They point to Tank's history of outclassing larger opponents through speed, accuracy, and superior footwork. His ability to control range and dictate tempo has always made him dangerous, regardless of weight. Most experts remain convinced that Jake Paul's fundamentals still lack the depth to challenge a fighter as calculated and battle-tested as Gervonta Davis. When skill meets size, skill almost always wins, and in Tank's case, it wins violently.
Tank Davis look crazy, bro. She look killers. Chilaquiles. Gervonta Tank Davis hitting a heavy bag in preparation for his Jake Paul fight November 14th down there in Florida. Man looks absolutely amazing. Man looks like a monster. Man looks like precision. Jake Paul cannot take those body shots. You mean to tell me somebody who done fought UFC fighters and a man with Parkinson's disease can take a body punch from Gervonta Tank Davis, and y'all basing y'all logic just because Jake Paul is big? No, Tank's gonna go ahead and put this man to sleep. I'm telling y'all that right now. If Tank don't put this man to sleep, he done let the black community down, he done let boxing down, and he ain't never been that nice. You Tank fans, y'all trying to give him a pass. If y'all said Tank is as skilled as y'all say he is, if he does not put Jake Paul to sleep and stop Jake Paul, his boxing career is absolutely voided. He already don't care about legacy, and just imagine he don't knock out Jake Paul, and now y'all want to say it's not a real fight, it's an exhibition. No, we not giving no passes, bro. This Gervonta Tank Davis, he needs to put Jake Paul to sleep. I don't want to hear nothing about, Jake Paul too big. No, Jake Paul chin ain't never been tested by somebody that hit as hard as Gervonta Tank Davis. Tank should put this man to sleep with ease. I'll say that respectfully. If you don't put him to sleep,
a 2-pack of ass. That shit stinks.
That's a 2-pack of ass at the highest level, and it's a musty energy at the highest level. Get it together. Get it together. Tank looks amazing. That's the Chilaquiles. Chilaquiles.
UFC champion Michael Bisping recently shared his take on the fight, offering a balanced perspective. He praised Davis for his explosive power, adaptability, and ring intelligence, while acknowledging that physical size can't be dismissed entirely. Bisping admitted that Tank's ability to outthink and outmaneuver bigger men is remarkable, but absorbing shots from a naturally heavier puncher could test his chin and endurance. Even so, Bisping expressed confidence in Davis's mindset, calling him one of the most mentally composed fighters in the game. He concluded that while size is a legitimate factor, Tank's precision, discipline, and strategic sharpness may still carry him through if he stays patient, avoids unnecessary exchanges, and executes a perfect plan.
It's happening. WBA lightweight champion Gervonta Davis, who's unbeaten in 31 professional contests, takes on the self-proclaimed problem child, Jake Paul, one of the most influential and marketable global personalities. Paul and Davis square off in Miami after doubts around the fight being sanctioned in Georgia triggered a change in venue. Neither fighter can weigh more than 195 pounds. The weight is perhaps the most surprising factor. Paul has boxed most of his career around 200 pounds, the cruiserweight limit, but did tip the scales at 227 pounds when he faced off against Iron Mike Tyson last year. Davis, much smaller in stature, competes at the 135 pound mark and has also won world honours at super featherweight.
And despite some discussions about possibly dropping down to 10 ounces, the pair seem set to wear 12-ounce gloves.
And in terms of distance, despite the exhibition tag, the fight will play out over 10 3-minute rounds with 3 scoring judges at ringside, but the result will not be officially recorded on their...
Several commentators have criticized how Gervonta Davis's accomplishments are often overshadowed or undervalued. They highlight that fighters who share the ring with him often gain massive recognition afterward. For instance, opponents like Lamont, virtually unknown before facing Tank, saw their reputation explode following the bout. This, they argue, underscores Davis's magnetic influence on the sport. His presence alone draws attention, raises stakes, and brings audiences in record numbers. Analysts dismiss the narrative that Davis isn't a key figure in modern boxing, asserting that his mere involvement elevates others and defines the era. His fights create stars, shape storylines, and prove that he's more than a champion. He's a force shaping the sport's future.
Tyson that's pushing 60 years old, for crying out loud, but at the same time pretending to be like this badass motherfucker, sending me DMs talking. He offered me a contract a long time ago, and I was like, what are you doing? I'm a retired fighter and I've got one eye. Why would I want to fight you? I wouldn't lower myself to doing that. I know a lot of people do that. They do lower themselves, if you want to say that. because of the payday, because Jake Paul is a big name. He is a social media sensation. He's a YouTube star. And now, of course, in the world of boxing, he's one of boxing's biggest stars because he puts on these spectacles like Paul versus Tyson, like Nate Diaz, because these are the fighters, these are the names that attract the eyes. Jake Paul is the B-side to almost every single one of his fights. When he fought Nate Diaz, people were tuning in for Nate Diaz. His last fight against Cesar Chavez Jr., apparently no one watched that fight. Apparently the pay-per-views were ridiculously low. So this one's going back to Netflix on November 14th, and it's an exhibition bout. Of course, it's an exhibition bout because no athletic commission in their right mind will sanction this fight. There's just no way you can make this a legitimate fight because of the size advantage. Typically, this will be very, very dangerous, and someone could get really hurt. If Jake Paul was to swing as hard as he could and connect and wobble him and hit him many times and not knock him out, with the bigger gloves and the concussion possibilities and the brain rattling around inside the head, and Jake Paul just teeing off at him as hard as he could, it's dangerous. That's why fights like this can't get sanctioned. That's why this is a exhibition bout and not a real matchup. Now listen, they're both going to get paid tremendously. They're going to make a ton of money, and a lot of people are going to tune in and watch.